Hello everyone, this is Isha for Pinkfresh Studio. In today's video, I'm focusing on the Coastal Paradise stencil set and how you can combine it with various Pinkfresh products to create vibrant summery cards. I will walk you through my full card making process, including ink blending, stencil layering, and even a bit of texture paste to create scenes full of color and dimension. For today's project, I am using the Coastal Paradise stamp set, coordinating die set, and stencils. All the supplies are listed in the description box below, so be sure to check them out. The Coastal Paradise stencil set includes 7 stencils, but for the background, I am only using the first 3 stencils. First, we are going to create the background. I begin with stencil number 1 and I am blending ballet slipper ink onto the sky area. I mask the water using a post-it paper. After completing the sky, I remove the mask, cover the sky area and blend waterfall ink onto the water section. With the 1-inch brush, since it covers large areas quickly and gives a smoother result. To create depth in water, I bring in Paradise ink and a 1/2-inch blending brush. I'm adding more color near the edges to create a soft vignette and a more natural light transition. Next, I am removing that stencil and switch to stencil number 2. This stencil has the sun and grass area. I am using sweet mustard ink to fill in the sun. After that, I wipe the area clean with a soft cloth. Cover the sun using a post-it paper and then I am using grassy knoll ink to blend in the grass section using a 1-inch blending brush. Moving on to stencil number 3, which has sun rays and water ripples, I am adding ballet slipper ink to the sun rays again, concentrating the color closer to the sun and letting it fade outwards. I am coming back to stencil number 2 here to add deeper color to the grass area using eucalyptus ink with a 1/2-inch blending brush. This step helps add visual depth and defines the grass nicely. To bring extra texture to the card, I am applying crackle embossing paste to the ripples using a palette knife through the stencil number 3. A thin, even layer is good enough and it gives that lovely crackled effect once dry. Be sure to wash your stencil right away as the paste dries quickly and it can damage the stencil if left for too long. While the background dries, I start stamping the image from the Coastal Paradise stamp set using detail black ink. I'm using the Misty tool to ensure clean, even impressions. To add color to these images, we have 4 stencils. Put the stamped image onto a sticky mat for an easier ink blending. Using stencil number 1, I am applying peach fizz ink to the lower section of the larger house. Then I blend waterfall ink to the upper floor. On the second house, I am using sparkling rose ink and I apply the same shade to a few other elements. Moving on to stencil number 2, I am using mulberry blush ink for the rooftops. This color reminds me of the beautiful rustic rooftops you often see in the Swiss old towns. Next, I bring in clementine ink to brighten up a few accessory details. To make some of the images pop even more, I am blending Raspberry Bliss ink to add vibrancy and warmth. Then I finish off those elements with a bit of sweet mustard ink to harmonize with the sun tones in the background. For the trees and greenery, I am using grassinol ink lightly across the leaves. Then, using eucalyptus ink, I add some concentrated color near the center of each tree leaf for added depth. Next is stencil number 3. I am blending warm buff ink using a heavier hand to the tree bark and rooftops. As I work through stencil number 3 and 4, I continue building up the contrast by layering similar shades as before: warm buff, raspberry bliss, clementine, and adding them to the smaller elements. Don't forget to wipe your stencils between colors to avoid mixing pigment and stay with the true colors. Playing with different ink intensities gives a smooth gradient and helps us achieve natural light and shadow, adding dimension and depth to our scene. You can play around with the colors of your choice or the recipient's choice. Once everything is colored, I die cut all the stamped images using the coordinating dies. Off camera, I also stamped, stenciled, and die cut few of the extra trees and greenery pieces to give myself more options for arranging the final layout. I trim my background panel slightly smaller than an A2 size card panel and adhere it to the white card base using a tape runner. Now it's time to arrange the scene and have fun with the elements. I move my die cut images around on the card front until I am happy with the layout. This is always a joyful and creative part of the card making process. Once the positioning looks good, I begin to adhere the images using a mix of 3D foam tape and liquid adhesive to build layers and dimension. Off camera, I snipped off the poles from the houses. Now, this scenery feels like a sunny day spent during summer vacation, right? For the sentiment, I am using the warmest birthday wishes stamp. Again, stamp it with detailed black ink and die cut it using the coordinating die. To make it stand out even more, I die cut a second sentiment layer, blended raspberry bliss ink over it, and offset it slightly behind the main sentiment to create a subtle pink highlight. I adhere it with 3D foam tape and a pair of tweezers for precision. With everything in place, I felt like the sky needed a little extra something. So I pulled out the mountain stencil from the previously released set and used stencil number 6, which includes bird silhouettes. Using warm buff ink, I added 3 birds in the sky for a finishing detail. While working on this card, I also played with other design ideas. In the second version, I flipped the stencils which moved the images. For example, you can see it in the sun to the right side of the card. I used a partial ink blending technique through the stencil here. For the background, I used the twist pattern press plate to dry emboss the card base for extra texture. For the focal image, I used message in the bottle stamp, stencil, and dies. I love this product suite a lot. On the third version, I used stamps, dies, and stencils from the Mark the Moment set to add a guitar and a boat. To include a beach ball and slippers, I used the Summer Fun stencil and die set. This set was released previously. I hope you enjoyed today's project as much as I did. If you like this tutorial, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notifications so you don't miss out on future crafty inspiration. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, happy crafting and bye bye.